Shalom from Jerusalem. I'm Jonathan Hessen, and this is TV7's Israel Update. And in today's edition, we will focus on a variety of issues, but first, highlight that today we mark 770 days since the dark day of October 7th, 2023. On that day, in a community in southern Israel along the border with the Gaza Strip called Be'eri, some 102 individuals were brutally murdered, including a couple, Ayelet and Meni Godart. The man, Meni, was taken hostage subsequently by the Islamist Hamas into the Gaza Strip. He was held there for the duration of the war. And this morning, the Israeli Forensic and Medicine Institute in central Israel has confirmed that he has been returned home for burial. Many and Ayelet have left behind 4 children. And this is a point that we would like to discuss now. But first, I'd like to introduce our experts, to include TV7's editor-at-large, Mr. Amir Oren, and TV7's, if I may be so bold, Brigadier General in Reserve, Doron Gavish, formerly a commander of the Israeli Air Force the Israeli Air Force Air and Missile Defense. It's great to see both of you. And Mr. Oren, it doesn't close any type of circle, as they put it here in Israel, when we're talking about the devastation of losing one's father, brother, sister, son, grandchild. But nonetheless, after 770 days, this is a significant milestone for the Gobart family. And at the same time, we still also need to remember that 2 Israelis and 1 Thai national are still in Hamas captivity to date. 3 remains of bodies that are being held somewhere in the Gaza Strip by this heinous terrorist organization called Hamas.
Yes, now, obviously, this is most important for the families involved. But what one always hears from the living hostages, those who were returned alive, those who were neither murdered on October the 7th nor died in captivity later, when they return home, they say that they and their own families cannot start their rehabilitation until the very last body of the deceased Israelis or the other nationals are finally brought to rest here. So it is also important for wider circles, not only the nuclear family of the Goddard or others who are gradually returned, not as Hamas committed during the first 48 to 72 hours after signing the ceasefire agreement, but nevertheless, only should the remaining bodies be returned shortly can many of the hostages start their own very long, very arduous road to recovery. Now, as you remember, earlier this week, we marked the anniversary of the end of World War I. And one of the most significant novels to come out of that conflict was All Quiet on the Western Front. Gaza is now Israel's Western Front. It is not really all quiet. Earlier today, a terrorist tried to approach the Israeli troops guarding the so-called yellow line separating Israel and Hamas, and he was shot and killed. But in general, there is hardly any engagement between the forces. The front right now, which Israel should watch, is the eastern one, Iran. We'll talk about it probably later. But also in the Persian or Arabian Gulf, one hears of arms deals, for instance, with Saudi Arabia, perhaps F-35 fighters, which up to now only the Israeli Air Force operates. And this is causing Israeli defense planners a lot of concern because Israel's qualitative military edge could be eroded, and some of the technological secrets could even leak to China and other powers.
Which is not in the interest of the state of Israel, the West at large, and the United States in particular, to say it mildly.
Indeed.
Of course, there are various considerations to be taken into account here. Israel's QME, just for the sake of putting things in order, is a law in the United States. The qualitative military edge has been put forth. Some may say, according to various analysis that is public knowledge, that the United States provided that assurance in order to avoid a scenario for Israel to utilize some type of other types of munitions. But ultimately, when we're talking here specifically, this is a American consideration that needs to be brought forward and discussed with Israelis, which is being done in most cases. I hope also in the case of the Trump administration, which has been very eager on deepening its ties with both Riyadh and Doha, Qatar. Now, General Gavish, I'd like to turn to you since, well, there's much to discuss about the Gaza Strip, and it is an important topic to discuss since chances of Hamas actually agreeing to be disarmed are quite slim. President Trump has said time and again that it's not about Hamas and it's not about Gaza. It's a lot bigger than that. And we understand that this is a lot bigger than that. Mr. Oren just mentioned the Islamic Republic of Iran, and I think this is a topic that we should discuss, considering that they are being very eagerly rehabilitating themselves, and more than that. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Jonathan, first allow me to start with a personal note. I was visiting last week in Denmark, in Copenhagen, in Aarhus, and I spoke to some of the communities over there, but it was really joyful to meet some of our viewers that approached me, and it was really nice to see that we have very, I would say, nice people which are over there looking at us, supporting TV7, supporting Israel. So from here, I thank them for the hospitality, and I hope that now after my visit, we have even more viewers in Denmark. So it was nice. It was really nice. For your question, Jonathan, this is still, from the Israeli point of view, Iran, it is still the main strategic issue. Of course, Gaza Strip, as you said rightly so, and Amir, it is not all about the Gaza Strip, it's much wider than this, but also with Iran. And Iran is still the main stabilizer of the region. Iran is still the one who is threatening not only Israel, it is threatening other neighbors in the like the Gulf state, Saudi and others. The Houthis are still there. There are still provocations. We just heard in the news, this is something that needs to be confirmed, that it might be that there was a ship that was diverted from its course in the last few hours. So they are there. And you rightly mentioned that they are rearming themselves. So we would like very much that, as President Trump said, the Iranians are welcome to join the ride, the Abraham Accord, join to be part of the region, join they more than welcome to join and be a positive part of the region. But it doesn't look like this, at least from the way that they are behaving, at least from the way that they are, or the statements, I would say, So this is something that, of course, needs to be looked at very carefully by Israel, by the region, of course, by the United States, because we said it again and again, and we showed it that we won't allow Iran to be or to even get close to be a country which is holding a weapons of mass destruction, or a country that is posing a severe threat, strategic threat to the existence of Israel. So we'll see where things are going with Iran. It is our job as Israel is to prepare ourselves to all options, to seek for the peace, I would say, but to prepare ourselves to other options.
Mr. Oren?
Uh, yeah, if I may add, obviously we are not privy here to any operational plans or any discussions on the decision-making level. However, one can sense the atmosphere, and the atmosphere here is that should the Iranians persist in their current course, which denies any real possibility for diplomacy, it will be almost inevitable that a new round of hostilities will take place. The first one, obviously, has been the June 12th day war. However, it will not only be a repeat of June, it will be a repeat and remove, because the sense that one gets is that if it turns out that June was not enough, there will be little sense in having, doesn't matter, a December, an April, or whatever, without removing the regime. And so, of course, it will have to be coordinated between Jerusalem, or in that case, Tel Aviv, the headquarters of the defense establishment, and Washington. But should there be another round, Iran will be struck much harder, and the war aim this time around would be to get rid of the regime, and perhaps even some replacements are already being readied for it.
Indeed. Well, I think it's important to point out that, you know, in the June altercation between Israel and the Islamic Republic of Iran, Israel anticipated an Iran that is much more capable. Within 48 hours to 72 hours, Israel devastated Iran's capabilities in such a way that really caused Israel to slow down its offensive escalation dominance, the ladder, so to speak, of what type of munitions to introduce into the theater. And that was quite evident. The Iranians have very quickly diminished into a point where even when Ayatollah Ali Khamenei from an undisclosed bunker declared that soon 1,000 missiles would rain upon Israel, in practice it merely was one or two that were launched during that very day, and it really indicated to the devastation, the decapitation of Iran's capabilities in the first get-go. And during the course of those 2 weeks, the Iranians really failed to harm Israel in any meaningful way. The manner in which Israel, in contrast, has devastated Iran's surface-to-air capabilities, its ballistic launchers, its various critical infrastructures, leaving out of the equation the civilian infrastructure for obvious reasons, and of course, with the cherry on top, Iran's nuclear program, with its weapons and military components being also completely degraded. It was something that the Iranians had never expected or anticipated in a million years. And within that context, Mr. Oren, I'd like to ask you, since the decision makers know this in Iran, at least I assume they know this in Iran, what in any type of rationality is driving them to test Israel once again?
So 2 points, and obviously this is an opinion. One is entitled to another opinion, and of course there could be very many variations. Now, first of all, Iran probably does not aim or does not believe that it can get nuclear weapons. It has known it before June, and obviously after June. It has known that once Israel suspects, not even knows, but suspects that Iran is getting very, very close to nuclear weapons, it will strike. And therefore, what is the whole purpose of the Iranian nuclear project? It is to convert what they have accumulated for diplomatic and economic bargains. Now, this strategy failed. They may try to revitalize it. Another point, the whole strategy of Qassam Soleimani in trying to envelop Israel with a so-called ring of fire is to create dual deterrence, not mutual deterrence, dual deterrence. One part of the deterrent would be Hezbollah, and the other would be the Iranian ballistic missile arsenal. Should Israel try to strike Iran, the 150,000 or so missiles and rockets stationed in Lebanon by Hezbollah will strike Israel. And the same goes for the other option of Israel trying to preempt Hezbollah. When that happens, Iran will strike Israel. Now this is all gone. Both Hezbollah and Iran have been struck. Of course, there is some residual force in both places, but Israel is not deterred. So yes, there are discussions in Tehran between extremists and less extremists. Let's not call them moderates or pragmatists, and the outcome should be known very soon.
Well, I hold
Can I
a
comment,
somewhat different
Jonathan?
school of thought here, since I do think that the Iranians were aiming to gain nuclear weapon capabilities. And every indication in the field and old data was referring to that, to include, of course, as you know, the IAEA reports that indicated quite clearly that the Iranians have already tested nuclear devices at least twice that the IAEA is familiar with. General Kavish, your take on this?
As Amir said, there are different angles, so allow me, Amir, to take the other angle alongside with what was just said by Jonathan. I truly believe that they meant to it. They still want to do it. I don't think that they changed the ideology. They're just being in a most stressful situation, as we discussed. They've been striked a few times already, and they are exposed to the Israeli capabilities, not all of them, by the way. So I think that they are asking themselves what is the right way of doing it. But I think that the willingness is still there. I think this is exactly where are they aiming. I would say more than this. I think that from our point of view, it's literally dangerous to think that they didn't really wanted to have those capabilities, because one of the main lesson learned from 7th of October is the understanding that the Hamas and our enemies, including the Iran, they really want to destroy us. It is not them wanting to be, I don't know, stronger, deterrent toward Israel and so on. They literally want to destroy Israel. And I think this should be and must be the state of mind of the Israeli leaders, of all of us. I would say in Israel, going back to the idea that we added another pillar to our national strategy, which is prevention. So I think we should be very firm on this, and we can't allow the Iranian even to get close to it.
I'd like to redivert our attention to Syria. We just don't have very much time left for this, so let's keep it focused. The Syrian foreign minister blames Israel for not delivering the right messages during a Q&A session at Chatham House in the United Kingdom. He came out and stressed that from his point of view, he is quite happy with the way things went for Damascus and Washington, and he expects all sanctions to be removed and for Syria to live happily ever after, so to speak. But when asked about the massacres, of course, he dodged the tough questions and focused on the fact that this is a domestic issue that needs to be dealt with domestically, and asked about why they're adopting Sharia law and teaching the army all kind of Islamic studies, as was done in Al-Qaeda. He once again dodged the question. Mr. Owen, I'm looking at Syria right now, and all I see is many aspirations by many individuals who think that this type of regime can flourish in the political environment. Let's not forget that the United Kingdom, MI6, and the Turkish intelligence have been grooming al-Julani and this group in order to take over Damascus post-Assad. So naturally, they have a vested interest in making this work. The U.S. was also involved, albeit former diplomats who were involved in grooming al-Julani, but they later also advised the Biden administration initially and subsequently the Trump team to adopt and accept and welcome those figures into the fold, which seems to be working.
Well, Jonathan, you have seen this fantastic scene at the Oval Office with President Trump proposing that al-Julani try a new fragrance for men and calling him Joe. Julani, Joe. Maybe Trump was reminded of his old friend Rudy Giuliani, and Giuliani and Giuliani, as if Giuliani is only the mayor.
I'd like to keep this focused because we don't have very much time left. When we're talking specifically here.
Yeah, but the fragrance does not hide the reality of Syria. And obviously, if what Shara al-Julani is trying to do is to have a Sharia state, not only are the Americans not going to remove the remainder of the sanctions in 6 months' time, as was announced, they may even reinstate some of those which were removed. But the real problem right now is what you referred to as the massacres, what is being done to minorities in the Sueda governorate, the Druze, the Christians, and if Ashara cannot get hold on his own troops and other militias, he is not the ruler of Syria.
Indeed. Well, General Gavish, in the last 24 hours, we saw regime-backed forces, namely Bedouins backed by the Damascus regime, attacking 2 villages under Druze control in Sueda governorate. 4 Druze troops were wounded in this altercation. At least 21 of the regime forces or backed forces were killed or eliminated in the exchange. And it seems like the regime is probing. It is looking into the option of potentially once again reinvigorating its offensive following the visit of Shah in Washington, which seemed to have gained much support.
Well, I believe that Giuliani heard from President Trump what is his expectation, President Trump expectations, and I think that was what is happening now. First of all, it's a question mark how much Giuliani is controlling it, but he should control. I mean, if he wants to be the leader of Syria, he should control it. He cannot continue play on both, with both sides of the stick. From one hand, talking to President Trump to He wants, of course, the sanctions, personal sanctions, and other are not there. And from the other end, to strike, to attack the Druze in the south part of Syria. This is something that I think won't be tolerated by the US government. And here Israel is also a player because we didn't allow it to happen in the previous time. And if this would continue, I'm sure that Israel won't allow it also in this time, at this time. So Giuliani have to choose which path is the one that he's taking. And I hope for him and for all the region that he would take the right path. There is a lot to gain from his side if he would do it.
In addition to that, I'd like to highlight that the Governorate of Sueda, where we have a couple 100,000 Druze as well as roughly 50,000 Christians living there, remain under siege. Winter has arrived in the Middle East. Rain has started to downpour here in Jerusalem as well as in other locations of Israel. And it's slowly also coming from Lebanon in the direction of Syria, particularly southern Syria. Syria has been experiencing a drought for a long time. But at a time when there are over 100,000 people displaced, some marking roughly 200,000 in the Governorate of Sueda, there is a significant lack, of course, of many basic needs, and those people are going to face the brunt of a devastating scenario in which they don't have the tools to keep warm. So obviously, we keep this in prayer and try to let our representatives know that it's time to act in support of those people humanitarianly, with humanitarian aid, much needed aid that was promised by multiple leaders. But nonetheless, this is all the time that we have for today. I'd like to thank Mr. Emil Oren and General Gavish for all of your insights. And I'd like to thank all of you at home as well. Until our next edition, from here in Jerusalem, Shabbat Shalom.
Jerusalem Studio, now available on Spotify.
For more of TV7's productions and editorials, we invite you to visit our website at www.tv7israelnews.com.